As above, so below. As within, so without. This ancient Hermetic truth, expressed in the sacred words of the Emerald Tablet, invites us to look beyond the veil of appearances, to perceive that the microcosm and the macrocosm are not separate entities, but to faces of the same universal reality. The same intelligence that forms the stars forms the atoms within our bodies. The same force that moves galaxies through space moves the blood through our veins. The same consciousness that dreams entire universes into existence dreams through us in this very moment. Today, we will explore the profound depths of this universal law and discover how it connects with the latest advances in quantum physics, neuroscience, and consciousness research, while honoring the millennial wisdom of mystics, philosophers, and sages throughout history. We will understand how this principle can be applied in our lives to become more complete, conscious, and aligned beings. We will journey through the layers of reality itself, discovering that what we seek in the outer world already exists as a seed within our inner universe. This law, known as the principle of correspondence, reveals that reality in all its dimensions is structured fractally, an infinite pattern repeating at every scale of existence. This Hermetic principle suggests that everything in the universe is interconnected through invisible threads of correspondence, and that every fragment of the whole reflects the totality of existence itself. Consider the cells of our body. Each one carries the same genetic code that constitutes the entire organism. Each cell, in its microscopic universe, is a complete reflection of the whole being. Likewise, the movement of galaxies resembles the dance of electrons around atomic nuclei, showing us that universal laws operate identically whether on astronomical or subatomic scales. The ancient Egyptians understood this principle deeply. In their temples, they inscribed, "That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below," to accomplish the miracles of the one thing. The law of correspondence teaches us to see the universe as a great mirror of consciousness. If you want to understand the nature of reality, first observe yourself with complete honesty and awareness. Just as the macrocosm influences the microcosm, our internal state continuously shapes and influences the world around us. Here we discover a powerful key to transformation. By changing what exists within our consciousness, we simultaneously transform what manifests in our external experience. From a spiritual perspective, as above, so below leads us to a profound understanding of the fundamental unity of all existence. Jesus Christ, in his infinite wisdom, declared, "The kingdom of God is within you." Just as the cosmos contains within itself the potential for all creation, the human being, in their inner microcosm, contains the divine seed of infinite possibility. The human mind exists simultaneously as both observer and creation of the universe. Just as the cosmic whole expresses itself through every atom, every particle, every wave of energy, the human being stands as a living reflection of the totality of existence. As Hermetic philosophy reveals, each person is a microcosm, a small universe that, as it expands in consciousness, reaches toward and harmonizes with the greater universe. This understanding reveals both the tremendous power and the sacred responsibility we carry in tending to our own mind, thoughts, emotions, and inner landscape. By cultivating our inner world with wisdom and intention, we simultaneously nurture and transform what exists outside of us. The great philosopher Plotinus declared that the more a person knows themselves, the more they know the universe and what lies beyond it. This profound insight echoes the Hermetic principle that to understand the infinite cosmos, we must first unveil and explore the universe that exists within our own consciousness. Spiritual philosophy teaches us that our internal state, our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and dominant mental patterns acts as a lens that shapes and colors the way we perceive and interact with the external world. When we cultivate inner peace, we naturally see the world through peaceful eyes. When we harbor internal conflict and resistance, the world around us appears hostile and disharmonious. When we embody love and compassion within ourselves, we attract and recognize these same qualities in our environment. This understanding reveals that the barriers we perceive between self and other, between individual and universe, between inner and outer reality, are ultimately illusory constructs of limited perception. In truth, we exist as integral parts of a greater whole, and what happens within our consciousness remains in constant, dynamic interaction with what manifests in our external experience. Thus, by consciously transforming our inner universe through practices of self-awareness, meditation, and spiritual cultivation, we naturally adjust and elevate our relationship with the outer universe. For mystics throughout the ages, understanding as above, so below means recognizing that everything that exists in the vast cosmos also exists in potential within the infinite depths of human consciousness. Carl Jung, the pioneering Swiss psychologist and scholar of the human psyche, explained that the personal unconscious of each individual reflects and connects with the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir of universal images, archetypal patterns, and primordial wisdom that shapes how we experience and interpret life. Just as the cosmos remains in constant movement and transformation, the inner universe of each human being pulses with dynamic, ever-changing energy. By courageously exploring this inner landscape, the individual not only discovers hidden aspects of themselves, but also connects with archetypal forces and universal truths that form part of the entire cosmic order. Jung discovered that the symbols appearing in dreams, the patterns emerging in relationships, and the challenges we face in personal growth all reflect larger cosmic principles operating through our individual experience. The shadow aspects we encounter within ourselves mirror the darkness present in the collective human experience. The light we cultivate through inner work contributes to the illumination of consciousness on a planetary scale. Therefore, the spiritual journey becomes a sacred journey of return to the universal center that exists within us. This center represents our connection to the divine source, our authentic self, and our role as conscious participants in the cosmic evolution. Just as the principle of as above, so below affirms the correspondence between macrocosm and microcosm. It also suggests a profound integration between spirit and matter, between being and doing, between the internal realm of consciousness and the external world of manifestation. Paracelsus, one of the great alchemists and philosophers of nature, taught that the understanding of oneself is the first step toward understanding all things. For the alchemical tradition, the ultimate goal of self-knowledge is conscious union with the whole. By transforming our inner lead, our fears, doubts, limitations, and unconscious patterns into gold, wisdom, peace, self-mastery, and divine awareness, we align ourselves with the sacred flow of universal intelligence. This represents the true alchemical process, the great work of harmonizing what exists above with what exists below, and recognizing matter and spirit as unified expressions of one divine reality. The principle of correspondence invites us to perceive the universe as a series of interconnected layers and dimensions of reality that mirror and reflect each other in infinite complexity. It reveals an intimate relationship between different planes of existence, showing us that what occurs on one level of reality creates reflections, parallels, and resonances throughout all other levels. In the context of the eternal dance between spirit and matter, the Hermetic law reveals that spirit and matter, although appearing as opposites to our limited perception, are in fact complementary reflections of the same essential reality. The material world we experience through our senses represents a reflection of forces, ideas, and cosmic laws that operate on the spiritual plane. Matter exists as a shadow or dense expression of the subtle laws and energies of spirit. According to the principle of correspondence, spirit represents the original or causal plane where all ideas, intentions, and creative energies originate. Matter then manifests as the reflection of this spiritual origin, shaped and molded according to the invisible laws and patterns of consciousness. Think of spirit as the source of light and matter as the image projected by this luminous source. Matter exists and takes form only as a function of the presence and movement of this underlying spiritual energy. Thus, the visible world continuously shapes itself according to the invisible forces of the spiritual plane, much like a sculpture emerges from the artist's vision and intention. Likewise, any transformation or change we wish to create in the material realm must begin first and foremost on the spiritual plane. Through clear intention, focused vision, and aligned consciousness, an example of this relationship appears clearly in nature itself. Consider DNA, an invisible structure to the naked eye, yet containing all the information necessary to create and sustain a complex physical organism. This relationship between DNA and the physical body perfectly reflects the correspondence between spirit as the source of information and creative energy, and matter as the expression and manifestation of this essential blueprint. By aligning our mind and intentions with spiritual laws and universal principles, we gain the ability to influence and shape matter according to our highest vision and purpose. However, this does not mean attempting to control or manipulate material reality through force or manipulation. Rather, it represents a process of conscious alignment and harmonious cooperation with natural law. When we understand that matter exists as a densification of spirit, we realize that profound transformations occur most effectively when we work directly on the spiritual plane through the cultivation of our intentions, thoughts, beliefs, and inner state of being. For example, someone seeking to manifest greater prosperity and abundance may understand that this abundance must first be cultivated in consciousness through developing beliefs of self-worth, confidence, gratitude, and generous service to others. By nurturing these spiritual and mental patterns with consistency and faith, the reflection in the material world inevitably manifests. Even if gradually and through unexpected pathways, life reveals itself as a constant dance between spirit and matter, where the goal is not to deny one aspect in favor of the other, but to recognize, honor, and consciously harmonize both dimensions of existence. True alchemy lies in integrating the spiritual world with material life, recognizing that each aspect of our physical existence carries a spiritual reflection, and that each spiritual experience seeks practical expression in our daily lives. This means that our search for meaning and purpose, often associated with spiritual seeking, must find concrete expression in how we live, work, relate, and contribute to the world around us. When we cultivate spirit through practices of self-knowledge such as meditation, contemplation, prayer, and introspection, we simultaneously create a stronger foundation for a fulfilling, aligned, material life filled with meaning and purpose. Ultimately, the principle of correspondence reminds us that the apparent duality between spirit and matter represents an illusion created by our limited perception and conditioned thinking. Both spirit and matter are expressions of the same universal truth, the same divine intelligence, the same creative force that moves through all existence. The Hermetic maxim "as above, so below" manifests not only as philosophical or esoteric wisdom but also reveals itself clearly and objectively in the phenomena of nature that surround us every day. When we observe the natural world with awakened eyes, we discover that the same structural patterns and operational principles we find on microscopic scales repeat themselves on vastly larger dimensions throughout the cosmos. This correspondence between microcosm and macrocosm is not merely symbolic or metaphorical. It is literally imprinted in the fundamental patterns that govern matter, energy, and consciousness itself. One of the most striking examples of "as above, so below" in nature appears in the phenomenon of fractals. Fractals are geometric shapes that repeat their patterns at different scales, observable in both tiny objects and colossal cosmic structures. Fractal geometry provides scientific evidence that the same mathematical patterns structuring the universe, in its infinite vastness, can be found in the smallest details of the natural world. Consider the spiral symmetry of a nautilus shell and compare it to the majestic shape of a spiral galaxy. The same Fibonacci mathematical sequence that organizes the growth of a sunflower's petals also governs the formation of galactic arms spanning millions of light years. The principle of correspondence becomes visible in this repetition of patterns, revealing that nature follows a universal order, a cosmic intelligence that expresses itself at every scale of existence. This mathematical organization has been recognized by many wisdom traditions as sacred geometry, a divine language of the cosmos that structures everything from the movement of subatomic particles to the growth cycles of plants and the formation of star systems. Nature operates through cycles that reflect one another, from the smallest organisms to the largest ecosystems. The cycle of life, birth, growth, maturation, death, and renewal represents one of the most universal examples of this principle. Just as the seasons change in their eternal cycle, all living beings experience versions of this same pattern in their own existence. In the human body, the circulatory system functions as a microcosm of Earth's hydrological system, just as rivers flow toward the ocean in an endless cycle of circulation. Blood flows to the heart and from there nourishes every cell in the body. Both systems follow similar principles of flow and return, demonstrating that the macrocosm of Earth and the microcosm of the human being are organized by the same underlying intelligence. This correspondence between micro and macro also manifests in the cycles of sleep and wakefulness, in the rhythms of cellular activity, and in planetary rotation, showing us that the principle of correspondence represents a fundamental code operating in all vital processes. Another profound example of "as above, so below" appears in the structural similarity between atoms and solar systems. The nucleus of an atom, surrounded by electrons orbiting in their quantum dance, closely resembles the Sun at the center of a planetary system, with planets revolving in their cosmic orbits. This similarity has led scientists and mystics to propose that the basic structure of the universe may be repetitive and holographic, with the same essential pattern repeating across subatomic and cosmic scales. This analogy reveals an ordered universe where microcosm and macrocosm reflect each other in infinite recursive patterns of beauty and meaning. The philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras believed that number represents the principle of all things, suggesting that reality is structured by mathematical and geometric principles that apply equally to the vastness of galaxies and to the most minute particles of matter. In the field of consciousness studies, scientists such as David Bohm, a physicist and collaborator of Albert Einstein, proposed the revolutionary idea of implicate order. Bohm suggested that reality is not composed of separate, isolated parts, but rather consists of an indivisible totality, where individual parts exist as reflections of a greater, unified reality, much like a hologram, where each fragment contains the information of the whole. Each part of the universe contains and reflects the totality, demonstrating the idea that what happens at one level of reality impacts and influences all other levels. Benoit Mandelbrot, the mathematician who discovered and mapped fractals, revealed how these patterns represent a fundamental characteristic of natural systems throughout the universe. When we observe the cosmos through this fractal lens, each small part appears as a smaller scale version of the whole, making as above, so below not merely a philosophical metaphor but an observable, measurable phenomenon in the natural world. This understanding transforms our relationship with existence itself, revealing that we are not separate observers of the universe, but integral participants in its unfolding consciousness. The law of correspondence reveals how our external world, our results, our health, our relationships, our material circumstances, functions as a direct mirror of our inner world, reflecting our beliefs, intentions, and most importantly, our daily habits and consistent actions. Every small act we repeat represents an expression of our deeper mindset and worldview. When accumulated over time, these seemingly insignificant actions create tangible, visible reality in our lives. Just as a stone thrown into still water creates expanding ripples that reach the furthest shores, our habits and thought patterns reverberate through our existence, shaping our body, our relationships, and our life circumstances. In other words, our physical condition, emotional state, and even financial situation exist as reflections of what we consistently cultivate within our consciousness and express through our daily choices. Every aspect of our life manifests as an expression of what we believe, desire, and practice with regularity and intention. A disciplined mind creates the fertile ground for developing healthy, consistent habits. Someone with a disciplined mindset, characterized by clarity of purpose and well-defined goals, naturally reflects this inner order in their physical body and life circumstances. Mental discipline translates into concrete actions, regular meal times, consistent physical exercise, adequate rest, and practices that nourish and strengthen both body and spirit. As a result, the body becomes a living expression of this organized mind, healthy, strong, vibrant, and balanced. Conversely, a disorganized mind that easily yields to distractions and fails to establish clear priorities tends to generate harmful, self-defeating habits. This type of mentality reflects itself in a body that shows signs of disorder, excess weight, chronic fatigue, health problems, and a general sense of imbalance and disconnection. When internal discipline is lacking, the tendency is to seek immediate comfort through processed foods, excessive sedentary behavior, inadequate sleep, and other choices that, while providing momentary satisfaction, result in long-term physical and emotional degeneration. Consider someone who consistently procrastinates, delays exercise, and pays little attention to the quality of their nutrition. This person reflects a state of mental disorganization directly in their physical body. Excess weight, constant fatigue, and health issues become external expressions of an undisciplined and disordered inner state, as the Greek philosopher Aristotle wisely observed, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Each small action, when repeated daily with intention and consistency, creates a profound cumulative impact on our lives. The person who dedicates just a few minutes each day to self-care, learning, or physical exercise is planting seeds that, over time, create an abundant harvest of health, wisdom, and fulfillment. Small gestures of care and discipline, when added together through the power of consistency, result in extraordinary achievements and a life of greater meaning and satisfaction. To an outside observer, a significant physical or mental transformation may appear to be the result of some dramatic event or sudden change, but in reality, it represents the visible reflection of countless small acts performed with consistency and clear intention over time. Deep, lasting transformation occurs when we understand that success and failure are both fruits of small choices made daily, often in moments when no one is watching. A simple habit like drinking more pure water every day may seem insignificant in isolation, but over months and years, it can transform a person's skin, energy levels, mental clarity, and overall health. This is the principle of correspondence in action. Small acts that begin in the microcosm of consciousness manifest in daily life and gradually create profound changes in the microcosm of our entire existence to transform external results, whether in our body, health, relationships, or material circumstances. It becomes necessary to start from within, from the realm of mind and spirit. This represents the true power of the principle of correspondence in practical application by changing our mindset and cultivating beliefs rooted in discipline, self-care, and genuine self-love. Our daily habits naturally begin to reflect these internal transformations. Gradually, our external environment adjusts to align with this new internal configuration of consciousness. Those who possess clarity of purpose and direction, who understand what they want to build and achieve, naturally develop habits that support and sustain their chosen path. A strong body, a clear mind, and an organized life become reflections of a soul that has discovered its reason for existence and expresses this purpose through every small, conscious action. When we contemplate the principle of correspondence with depth and sincerity, we begin to understand that this ancient wisdom extends far beyond theoretical reflection or philosophical speculation. It offers us a practical compass for living with greater harmony, authenticity, and conscious intention in every moment of our existence. Applying this principle to everyday life helps us align our inner world with our outer world, fostering clarity, emotional balance, and genuine well-being. Just as the universe organizes itself according to cycles, patterns, and natural harmony, we must also seek the same balance and order within ourselves. At its deepest level, the universe reveals itself as a vibrant, living melody, and each of us exists as a unique note resonating within the harmony of the cosmic whole. What we cultivate within our consciousness manifests in our external experience. Our thoughts, beliefs, and daily habits function as invisible threads that weave the fabric of reality around us. The principle of correspondence reminds us that we are the conscious sculptors of our own existence. Our consciousness represents the clay, and our actions serve as the chisel with which we shape our destiny. Like a mirror that reflects the starry sky in the calm waters of a mountain lake, life responds precisely to what we emanate from the depths of our soul. If we seek peace in our external world, let us first cultivate serenity within our own hearts and minds. If we desire strength and resilience, let us nourish these qualities through discipline and consistent practice. If we want to experience love and connection, let us allow these divine qualities to blossom within us as a pure and unquenchable flame of compassion. The ancient wisdom teaches us that what we create within ourselves, the world will inevitably return to us in reflection. As above, so below. As within, so without. This is not merely a philosophical concept, but a practical law of existence that we can verify through our own direct experience. Every choice we make, every thought we think, every emotion we feel becomes a silent prayer, echoing through eternity, calling forth experiences that match our inner state of being. When we align our consciousness with love, wisdom, and service to the highest good, we naturally attract circumstances that reflect these elevated qualities. When we harbor fear, resentment, or limitation in our hearts, we unconsciously create experiences that mirror these contracted states of being. The universe operates as a perfect mirror, reflecting back to us exactly what we project from our inner world. This understanding places tremendous power and responsibility in our hands. We are not victims of circumstance, but conscious creators of our experience. Every moment offers us the opportunity to choose thoughts, feelings, and actions that align with our highest vision and deepest values. The spiritual path becomes a journey of taking full responsibility for our inner state, while simultaneously surrendering the outcomes to the wisdom of universal intelligence. We learn to work with the law rather than against it, understanding that lasting change must always begin from within. As we cultivate inner peace, outer peace naturally follows. As we develop inner strength, we become capable of handling any external challenge with grace and wisdom. As we expand our capacity for love and compassion, we find ourselves surrounded by loving, supportive relationships and circumstances. This is the practical magic of as above, so below, not supernatural manipulation of reality, but conscious alignment with the natural laws that govern all existence. The ancient alchemists understood this principle deeply. They knew that the transformation of base metals into gold was primarily a metaphor for the transformation of human consciousness from its lower, reactive states to its higher, divine nature. When we achieve this inner transformation, the outer world naturally reflects this elevated state of being. In the grand symphony of existence, each human being plays a unique and essential part. Our individual consciousness represents both a note in the cosmic melody and a complete reflection of the entire composition, just as each cell in our body contains the complete genetic blueprint while serving a specific function. Each person embodies the totality of cosmic consciousness, while expressing it through their unique gifts, challenges, and life experiences. The principle of correspondence reveals that our personal healing contributes to the healing of the collective. Our individual awakening supports the awakening of humanity as a whole. When we transform fear into love within ourselves, we add to the love available in the world. When we choose peace over conflict in our own hearts, we contribute to peace on earth. This understanding elevates every aspect of our personal growth and spiritual development from a selfish pursuit to a sacred service to all life. We begin to see that working on ourselves is not separate from serving others. They are two aspects of the same divine work. The mystics throughout history have recognized this truth. They understood that the journey inward and the journey outward are ultimately the same path, leading to the recognition of our fundamental unity with all existence. As we heal the divisions within ourselves, between mind and heart, between spirit and matter, between self and other, we contribute to healing the divisions in the world around us. The ancient Vedic teaching Tat Tvam Asi, Thou art that, points to this same recognition. What we see in others is a reflection of what exists within ourselves. The love we recognize in another person is the love that lives within our own heart. The wisdom we admire in a teacher is the wisdom that seeks to awaken within our own consciousness. The beauty we perceive in nature is the beauty of our own divine essence, reflected in the world around us. This recognition transforms our relationship with everything and everyone we encounter. We begin to see the world as a sacred mirror, constantly showing us aspects of ourselves and inviting us to deeper levels of understanding and compassion. The mastery of the principle of correspondence comes not through intellectual understanding alone, but through consistent practice and lived experience. It requires developing the ability to observe our inner state with honesty and compassion, while simultaneously taking responsibility for the outer circumstances we have created. This practice begins with mindful awareness of our thoughts, emotions, and reactions throughout the day. We learn to catch ourselves when we fall into unconscious patterns of blame, victimhood, or separation. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we learn to ask, "What is this experience reflecting about my inner state? And how can I use this situation to grow and evolve?" This shift in perspective transforms every challenge into an opportunity for greater self-awareness and spiritual development. We begin to see that our relationships serve as mirrors, reflecting back to us our own patterns of love and fear, openness and defensiveness, trust and control. Our work situations mirror our beliefs about our own value, our relationship with authority, and our capacity to contribute meaningfully to the world. Our health reflects our relationship with our body, our stress levels, our self-care practices, and our overall harmony between mind, body, and spirit. Our financial circumstances mirror our beliefs about abundance, our relationship with money, our sense of self-worth, and our willingness to receive the gifts that life offers. As we develop this inner awareness and take responsibility for our role in creating our experience, we naturally begin to make different choices that align with our highest vision for our lives. We start to embody the qualities we wish to see in the world around us. We become living examples of the principles we want to experience. This is the true alchemy, the transformation of our own consciousness that naturally transforms our outer world without force. or manipulation. With this understanding comes a profound sense of sacred responsibility. We recognize that our consciousness is not a private matter, but a contribution to the collective consciousness of humanity. Every thought we think, every emotion we feel, every action we take sends ripples through the interconnected web of existence, affecting not only our own experience but the experience of all life. This recognition calls us to a higher standard of living. We can no longer justify negative thoughts, destructive emotions, or harmful actions by claiming they only affect ourselves. We understand that our inner state contributes to the overall vibration of the planet and influences the collective human experience in ways both seen and unseen. This is not a burden but a tremendous privilege and opportunity. We have the power to contribute to the healing and evolution of our world simply by doing our own inner work with dedication and sincerity. Every moment of peace we cultivate within ourselves adds to the peace available in the world. Every act of love and kindness creates more love and kindness in the collective human experience. Every time we choose forgiveness over resentment, understanding over judgment, or courage over fear, we make it easier for others to make these same elevated choices. The ancient wisdom traditions have always taught that the transformation of the world begins with the transformation of the individual. The principle of correspondence reveals the mechanism by which this transformation occurs. As we change ourselves, we literally change the world around us, not through preaching or trying to control others, but through the natural law of reflection that governs all existence. This understanding brings both great power and great humility. We recognize our tremendous capacity to influence our reality, while simultaneously surrendering our need to control outcomes. We learn to work with the law rather than against it, trusting that as we align our inner world with love, wisdom, and service, our outer world will naturally reflect these qualities back to us. The principle of correspondence ultimately points us toward the recognition of our eternal nature and our fundamental unity with the divine source of all existence. As we deepen our understanding and practice of this principle, we begin to see that the journey of consciousness is circular rather than linear. We are not trying to get somewhere we have never been, but rather returning to a truth we have always known. The kingdom of heaven that exists within us is not something we must create, but something we must remember and uncover. The divine nature that we seek to embody is not foreign to us, but represents our most authentic self. The peace, love, and wisdom we desire to experience in the world are not absent from our current reality, but are waiting to be recognized and expressed through our own consciousness. This recognition brings a profound sense of homecoming. We realize that we have been searching in the outer world for what was always available within us. We understand that the happiness, fulfillment, and meaning we seek cannot be found in external circumstances, but must be cultivated in the garden of our own consciousness. This does not mean withdrawing from the world or becoming passive in our engagement with life. Rather, it means approaching life from a place of inner fullness rather than inner emptiness. We engage with the world not to get something from it, but to give something to it. We participate in relationships not to be completed by another, but to share our own completeness. We pursue our goals and dreams not from a sense of lack, but from a sense of creative expression and joyful contribution. This shift in motivation transforms everything. Our actions become more effective because they rise from alignment rather than resistance. Our relationships become more harmonious because we are not trying to get something from others, but are offering our authentic presence and love. Our work becomes more fulfilling because we are expressing our unique gifts, rather than merely trying to survive or succeed. The principle of correspondence is not merely an ancient teaching to be studied, but a living wisdom to be embodied and expressed in every moment of our existence. It invites us to become conscious participants in the cosmic dance, recognizing our role as both individual expressions of consciousness and integral parts of the universal whole. As we integrate this understanding into our daily lives, we begin to see the sacred in the ordinary, the infinite in the finite, the eternal in the temporal. We recognize that every interaction is an opportunity to practice love. Every challenge is an invitation to grow, and every moment is a chance to align more fully with our highest nature. This perspective transforms our relationship with time itself. We no longer see our lives as a series of disconnected events, but as a continuous unfolding of consciousness, each moment building upon the last in a perfect spiral of growth and evolution. We understand that nothing is wasted, nothing is meaningless, and nothing is separate from the grand design of existence. Every joy and every sorrow, every success and every failure, every moment of clarity and every period of confusion serves the greater purpose of our awakening and evolution. The practice of living this principle requires patience, compassion, and persistent dedication. We will not master it overnight, and we will not apply it perfectly in every situation. But each time we remember to look within when we are disturbed by outer circumstances, each time we take responsibility for our own state of consciousness, each time we choose love over fear, we strengthen our capacity to live as conscious creators of our experience. We develop what the ancient traditions called spiritual discrimination, the ability to distinguish between what is real and what is illusory, between what serves our highest good and what keeps us trapped in limitation. We learn to trust the process of life, knowing that everything that comes to us is perfectly designed to support our growth and awakening. Even when we cannot see the larger pattern from our current perspective. In the end, the principle of correspondence reveals that existence itself is an infinite mirror, reflecting consciousness back to itself in endless variations and expressions. We are both the observer and the observed, the dreamer and the dream, the seeker and the sought. The universe is not something separate from us that we must understand or conquer, but rather the very fabric of our own being extended into infinite expressions of beauty, complexity, and meaning. This recognition brings a profound sense of wonder and reverence for the mystery of existence. We realize that we are not separate beings struggling to survive in a hostile universe, but rather unique expressions of the one consciousness. That is the source and substance of all that is. Every person we meet is another face of our own divine nature. Every situation we encounter is another opportunity for consciousness to know itself more fully. Every challenge we face is another invitation for love to express itself through us in new and creative ways. As we embody this understanding, we become living bridges between heaven and earth, between spirit and matter, between the infinite and the finite. We serve as conscious conduits for the divine love and wisdom that seeks to express itself through human form. Our lives become offerings of gratitude to the mystery that has given us the gift of consciousness and the opportunity to participate in the eternal dance of creation. May every choice we make be a silent and intentional prayer, echoing through eternity, and calling forth the highest expression of our divine nature. May we remember always that what we create within ourselves, the world will return to us in perfect reflection, as above, so below, as within, so without. Let us walk forward with this sacred knowledge, knowing that we are both servants and masters of the cosmic law, both students and teachers in the eternal school of existence. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the heart of ancient wisdom. May this understanding illuminate your path and support you in creating a life of greater harmony, purpose, and joy. The universe is waiting to reflect back to you the beauty, love, and wisdom that you choose to embody. The choice, as always, is yours.